Welcome to Tucson in Review, a public affairs presentation of Cumulus Media Tucson. I'm Andy Taylor, and we are happy to have with us on the line Liz Pocock, who is the CEO of Startup Tucson. Got a big event coming to town. It's an annual event, and it's always just so well done. But happy to find out more about Startup Tucson as well. Liz, welcome to Tucson in Review.
Thanks so much. Glad to be here.
Now, for the listeners who are not familiar with Startup Tucson, it's a great organization, a great nonprofit that helps out many businesses in our community, and not just businesses, but the dreamers, the ones that have an idea that want to bring something to the table. Tell us a little bit about the origin of Startup Tucson and what really its goal is to do.
Yeah, so Andy, we're actually celebrating our 10th year here in Tucson as a nonprofit. And our whole goal is really to help entrepreneurs of all types, kind of all stages, either kind of work on their idea at the beginning, like you mentioned, or grow an existing business. And so we focus on education, mentorship, networking opportunities, and opportunities for entrepreneurs to come in, learn. They have an idea, they want to turn it into a business. How do they do that? Who's their customer? What might their market be? What do they need to be thinking about when it comes to sales and supply chain and all of these different things? So we run a ton of different types of programming year round at our offices here in downtown Tucson at the Forge at Roy Place building. And then we also run 10 West in November.
And when I think about those that want to start up a business, I have talked to so many people over the years that say, I've got an idea. But the problem is taking that, I've got an idea, to make it something that happens. And a lot of people feel like, well, I'll never succeed, or I don't have the kind of financial means to make a business a success, even it being maybe a small mom and pop shop, to somebody that is manufacturing and hiring people. I mean, that would be an ultimate goal and great for Tucson. How do you help that person take that thought and say, no, you can make it happen?
We use a tool called the Lean Business Model Canvas, but it's basically a one-page business plan. And we help people think about, like I said, the customer, their market. We connect them with mentors if different issues they might be struggling with. So we run a number of courses. They're called Startup Fundamentals is our kind of base programming. It's a 5-part series that can help people kind of go week to week, getting their ideas down on paper, understanding what assumptions they might be making, how they can test those assumptions to see, is it really going to work? We're all about trying to help people eliminate as much risk as possible. Launching a business can feel really risky, can feel really scary. And as you start to kind of make a list of all the questions and all the concerns you might have about taking that next step, how can we start to help you check that list off and say, okay, I understand the risk in this particular thing. Like, I still might decide to go forward and do that, but now at least I know what I'm walking myself into. So we focus on, the market and the customer side, but also building your budget, understanding your finance options. We work with a lot of other great partners in the community, like Community Investment Corporation and a number of angel groups of the VC groups. So if you're looking for financing, that's something we can talk to you about. Do you want to do debt financing? Do you think you want to do equity financing? Do you want to bootstrap? Who can maybe help you with those different pieces? You think you might need 50K? Do you really need 50K? Could you start with 10? What could you do with 10? So we kind of walk through all of those different pieces. And like I said, Andy, we're really, in our early days, I think the organization prior to my time focused a little more on specifically tech startups. And we've really evolved to help support all types of entrepreneurs here in Tucson, because Tucson is just such a unique business landscape, and people have amazing ideas in the creative and art space and in the food space. We actually have a whole 10-week program. We're in our 3rd cohort specifically for people that want to build value-added food products, which is the fancy way of saying like jarred salsas and jams and, tamales that you might sell and shakes that might be on an ordering system. And, in this current cohort, we just started last week. We have somebody making gourmet chocolate. We have somebody making like fun boozy popsicles. Like, think of like a mimosa in popsicle form. We've got, people making their 4th generation grandmother's traditional spaghetti sauce that they want to jar because it will be the first locally made jarred pasta sauce. So we just have all different sorts of people that we work with every week, every month. And I think the interesting thing about Startup Tucson is, again, we meet you wherever you are. So you might have accidentally become an entrepreneur, and that happens very often.
Yes.
You started making salsa, and people really liked it, and so you were giving it as gifts, and then actually your mom's best friend now wanted to buy some from you, and you're like, how do I charge for this? What should I be doing? And then now all of a sudden you're making 20 of these a month or 20 of these a week, and you have to figure out, do I need a business license? If I were to do this at the farmers market, what do I need to have in place? And so we really help people walk through all of those different steps, and through our partners and our mentors, we can kind of help with answer all different sorts of questions, and be with them along that journey that can take, can be really fast, or can take, years, depending on the pace that the individual wants to set for themselves and their goals.
I've talked to so many people over the years. I know, Liz, that there are somebody listening right now that has always said, I want to have my own shop, or I want to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe just like, you're saying there, I mean, I would never have thought, honestly, Tucson tamales. But let me take them, for example. Big business here in Tucson.
Oh, they're a great example.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, a friend of mine recently was in Japan, where they're in the service, and they went on base. And you know what they found on base? Tucson tamales.
Tucson tamales.
And
That's awesome.
That's the whole point. There are people that have lived here or have visited here that want to have that great Sonoran food. Here's the opportunity.
Yeah, and Todd and Sherry's story is just so amazing, right? They, she wanted to make her tamales, and then they opened a brick and mortar store, and a lot of people only ever knew it as the one store on Broadway, and then they opened the East Side location, but they didn't really realize that they were producing at such a large scale, and manufacturing and hiring tons of people. I think they're a perfect example of, a non-tech traditional startup that has just grown by leaps and bounds. They have their new manufacturing location. They actually are two of our guest speakers that come in and speak to our early stage food entrepreneurs to talk about, what do they wish they knew at the beginning? What lessons did they learn along the way? As you're growing, to think about national distribution, what questions should you be asking yourself? And they just share such practical advice, well, 3 tamales fit better in a bag than 2 tamales,
Perfect.
Just interesting stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of what our organization focuses on, is really trying to help people in the early part, and then as they grow, you might not see me for months because you're just chugging along in your business, and then now you've hit another roadblock, and we always encourage our entrepreneurs to reach back out, and we can help you with a new connection. Do you need to do different types of mentorship? Do you need a different marketing connection? All of those different pieces. And so that's kind of what our organization is set up to do.
One of the things I know that many small business owners may do is you get to a point and your business is cooking. I mean, it's going really good. You've been able to hire a couple people, but then you want to take it to the next step. And some people are afraid if they do that, they're going to, fall on their face, or they're going to lose the business they have. And you kind of have a program about scaling ventures where you can help maybe an entrepreneur or a business person decide, okay, it's time to expand. What do you need for that expansion?
We were lucky enough to receive a few different federal grants during COVID to help entrepreneurs in Tucson specifically with some of the challenges that COVID was presenting for their businesses. And so one of them, our Sprint program, is actually focused specifically on helping people take a tangible next step. And so we were able to build out our offices here in downtown, a prototyping lab, and a media studio. And so as entrepreneurs are ready to kind of take the next step and bring another product to line, or they've had all of these ideas, but they're even if they're in a business or they're just starting, it kind of can serve both, but it really is for people that are ready to take the next step. We can do a lot of that stuff in-house now, and we have some experts that can guide them through that process so that they're ready. When they're ready to take that next step, they again feel a lot more comfortable about the risk. And some of our mentors, not all of our mentors always have to be local. There are some amazing local mentors, but as people get further into very niche industries, we might not have some of the mentorship that they need. And so COVID taught us, through our other networks kind of nationally, that we can reach into mentors from Chicago would be happy to talk to somebody in a particular industry because we might not have an expert in that space. So we've really expanded our mentor network. We're really doing a lot more to try to focus on the specific needs of people as they kind of try to grow and scale.
Is it still important, Liz, try and get big business corporations to come to Southern Arizona. If they do, they provide jobs and opportunities for entrepreneurs to provide services and business to those big companies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a balance. I kind of always, this is like a broader traditional economic development question, right?
Yeah.
Do you bring the big fish? Do you kind of do attraction, or do you try to do a grow your own? And I think in traditional kind of settings, there was a huge emphasis on attraction, right? That's where we were seeing a lot of our government economic dollars go to kind of, attract the Amazon, attract the various different big companies, because it's a lot of jobs really fast. And I think that it's not an either or, it has to be an and. So
Yeah.
you have to have those big companies come in, because you're right. Like, we've got Hexagon doing really amazing. They're like a leader in innovation in mining and sustainability in mining. And that's so important given all of everything that's happening in our world
Yeah.
today. So you need that company, because you also have an emerging mining industry with ideas coming out of the university that are being turned into startups, and they need Hexagon to be one of their clients, exactly like what you're saying. And the same with, some of these other industries. Optics is one of our big ones here.
Oh, yeah.
And you need those different pieces, but it's not an either or. And I think that you're starting to see the county and the city, and just like COVID taught us that it can't be an either or, right? Because when you have something like that, you saw some of our bigger corporations do major layoffs, not necessarily in Tucson, but just across the board, where you saw small businesses fight tooth and nail to keep all of their employees. And so you do need that kind of balance in a community. And I think you're just really starting to see that more, and you're starting to see people recognize that entrepreneurship is not limited to scalable tech,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
is the small businesses, it's people like Todd and Sherry. And I always say, like, you just don't know what somebody's going to be able to do if they're given the right resources and tools, because like some of the craziest ideas, if you think back to like when that person probably first pitched some crazy idea, like if they had told me, if somebody pitched me Twitter, there's no way I would have said that's going to be what it is
Right.
today, right?
Yes.
You're like, this is silly, but you just don't know. And so we always feel like our job is not to, it's just to continue to question, like, where is the passion coming from? Why do you think there's a market for this? What problem are you trying to solve? Or what opportunity have you found that nobody else has found? And then what makes you unique and well positioned to do this? And what's your why? Like, why are you willing to do this over anybody else? And why? Because it's going to be your livelihood, right? It's going to be
Right.
everything you think about from day on. You don't get to clock out as an entrepreneur, right? You're never really on vacation. So you have to really want to do your why. And I think so many people in Tucson have that passion. It's just been amazing to see all the businesses that they're creating.
I had Mark Cuban once told me, he said to me, the only thing stopping you is yourself. When it comes to, deciding to grow your business and to continue to do things, and that we see that with a lot of people. So honestly, a great first step, honestly, is to check out Startup Tucson. Now, to become a member, Liz, what do people need to do?
To become a member, you basically just start with our 101 course. So we offer those monthly. They're online. So your first step can be, just from the comfort of your home if you want to. So you take your 101 class, and then once you've taken that, you can join as a member. And as long as you fill out an annual survey about your business, you can stay a member for free. And once you're a
Wow.
member, you can access connection services with our team. So those are one-to-one sessions once a month. We can pair you with mentors. For us, it's all about you making progress. So as long as you're continuing to make progress, we'll continue to be here, and everything is free. And progress can be, again, whatever you define it as, but we really want to work with people that want to help themselves. And so you can't meet with us every month if you just want to sit and talk, but if
Yeah.
you're ready to like really do some stuff, and I give you 3 people that you should follow up with, maybe that's a potential customer, maybe that's a mentor, maybe that's somebody that's a peer that's done the same thing but a little bit differently. You go out and have those 3 conversations and come back with solid next goals. Like, that's how you kind of keep going with us. And so those are great places. We also run a monthly startup coffee event, which is a free event to kind of introduce an entrepreneur or cool innovation concept in our community. Those happen downtown at our office. So we invite anyone to come join us for those. And then we run a monthly startup drinks, which is a networking event, again, every month.
Nice.
So those are also great places. If you're not quite ready to sign up for the class, you can check out one of those 2 events and then learn more about what a good next step might be. And if you're kind of further than the 101, we can always make exceptions. So you just kind of email our team and say, hey, I've been in business for 5 years, but I really really am looking at this pivot. I might not need to take the 101. Can I go ahead and get started with some of the other programs? And we'll just make sure we get you to the right place.
Now, Liz, I know every year, like once it wraps, you start planning for the next one, 10 West, the big festival. Tell
Yes.
us about the 10 West Impact Festival this year, and when is it going to be happening, and well, what is it all about?
Yeah, so 10 West Impact Festival is celebrating its 6th year. We haven't been in person since 2019, so we're really excited to come back in our, prior form
Mm-hmm.
to the community. So it's November 1st to 5th, all in downtown Tucson. And the whole idea of 10 West is really, we're trying to bring different thought leaders, national thought leaders, inspire people to think about ideas and think about what will empower you to take your next step. So that could be in business, that could be in a creative space, that could be in sustainability. The kind of tagline is, everybody has a role, discover yours. So we're going to have a lot of different ideas presented through various different conferences. So it's a mix of conference with speakers and workshops, plus a bunch of different fun cultural and arts activities. The conferences happen on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, create, build, and sustain, all around those topics that I was just mentioning. And then we'll have a big kickoff on the Tuesday night at the Museum of Art.
Nice.
And we're adding this year our first ever Street Fest. So we're actually closing Tool Avenue from Stone all the way to 191. There'll be beer gardens, there'll be a stage with local music, there'll be Mexican wrestling,
Nice.
there'll be vendors. So we're partnered with Cream, and they're going to do their flea market within the festival.
Cool.
We have a bunch of different expo things. So you can think of it as the intersection of like creativity, technology, entrepreneurship, innovation, community, and it kind of all happens over these days. And it was originally inspired by, we felt like people in Tucson felt like they had to travel to get this sort of experience.
Right.
Like you had to go to South by, or you had to go to San Francisco for a conference, or LA, and that we weren't really seeing that there was a place that highlighted all the really amazing stuff that Tucson itself is producing. We have speakers at the U of A, we have speakers across our community that are these hidden gems that people just haven't ever heard of, because when they're asked to speak, they go speak somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so the idea is that you bring some of those local heroes to the stage so that they can inspire our community and share their knowledge and experience. And then that we also, bring in some national thought leaders to help us think about how we could solve problems differently here in Tucson. And so we're really excited to come back in person. In 2019, the last year we did it in person, the conference itself had about 3,500 attendees, and the whole festival had about 14,000. So, it's a pretty big thing.
It is.
And we really think the energy so far has been really good. We just put passes on sale, but all of our partners are excited to come back, all of our sponsors, and we've just heard a lot of really great things from the entrepreneurship and creative communities around attending and excitement. And so I think it's definitely something to come and check out this year if this sort of conversation inspires you.
The pitch competition is just the coolest idea in the world. You have a contest where
Yeah.
people get up in front of those movers and shakers and they make their
Yeah,
pitch,
we
like what
do.
they have, right?
Yeah, so Idea Funding actually has been around in Tucson. It's celebrating 25 years in Tucson. So we kind of adopted it into 10 West, but it predates 10 West and was really a place where entrepreneurs were coming together before an organization like Startup Tucson existed. And so Idea Funding's pitch competition happens within November 3rd, so the kind of build day. And we already launched applications. The total prize money is a little over 50,000, split
Nice.
between a number of different types of prizes. The main stage is 25K. So you can think of it as kind of like a version of a Shark Tank if you're not familiar
Oh,
with
yeah.
the pitch competition. This year, just to speak to the momentum and the creativity that's happening in the Tucson community, we had 120 applications, which
Wow.
is the most we've ever had. So just a ton of people building really cool stuff. So we had 120 applications. We are in the process of doing multiple pre-rounds that happen. All of the companies receive pitch training and meet with judges and mentors. And so we're kind of doing the down select now. And then the day of Idea Funding within 10 West on that November 3rd date, you can actually attend. You can watch over 25 companies pitch in various different categories. So 5 will pitch for that main stage prize of 25K, and then another 20 will pitch in various different rooms in the morning. And so those will be, food businesses, people building consumer products. There'll be bioscience people. We have some people that are doing some really amazing stuff in sustainability this year around, food ecosystems and how we just all sorts of amazing ideas. And so it's a great place to come and kind of see what Tucson is, the next generation of businesses that are coming out of Tucson, and meet the founders and hear why they're passionate about what they're building.
Well, I love it. With the Street Fest, you make it a party atmosphere while still
Mm-hmm.
really absorbing some really good information. Now, our listeners, once again, can go to 10west.com for more info. If you are that person that have said, I want to start a business, get started. Again, as I've been told, the only thing stopping you is yourself. You want to get onto the website, go to startuptucson.com. Liz, want to thank you so much for coming on. We definitely want to talk to you again in the weeks ahead about 10 West. Is that cool?
Yeah, sounds good, Andy. Thank you so much.
We'll have more coming up on Tucson in Review about a great project that talks about saving and conserving water, and it involves fourth graders. They get hands-on. We'll tell you about that coming up with more of Tucson in Review. We'll be right back.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to Tucson in Review. So many great events and projects happening in Southern Arizona to really inform kids and inform all of us about what's happening in our state. And coming up soon is the Arizona Water Festival. And the program coordinator for that, Arizona Project Wet with the University of Arizona, Kristyn Kay, is with us on the line. Kristyn, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the Arizona Water Festival and Project Wet. What is that all about?
Yeah, so Project Wet, we are a program of the University of the Arizona Cooperative Extension, which allows us to deliver activities and teach our curriculum across the state of Arizona. And one of those programs is the Arizona Water Festival. And our mission is to provide people with the knowledge and skills to take action for water stewardship in their community. So the Water Festival is really all about bringing our fourth grade students all together for a day to celebrate water while they learn hands-on engaging activities that help them better understand how they can become water stewards and help conserve our precious water here in Arizona.
You know, when I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, you go outside, you turn on the hose, and you never gave a second thought to it. But here in Arizona, we do have to think a little more about it, especially now as we've seen a bit of a drought. We've seen what's been going on with the Colorado River, and it's been concerning to many. But what I really love, Kristyn, is the idea that you're getting the youth involved in understanding the importance of water conservation and the many different resources that are available to learn. Are the kids, as fourth graders, are they really interested in this? Do they get involved in the project?
Yes. So this is part of a 10-lesson unit that we help teach our teachers. So it's a curriculum that we teach our teachers, and then those teachers provide 5 lessons to the students before the Water Festival, and then 5 lessons after. And it helps to meet 2 of the fourth grade science standards. So the students are already sort of learning a little bit about it, but this way we can really engage them and give them and instill a deeper understanding of water in the earth systems and Arizona's water resources. Because we get hands-on activities, they really do get excited and feel like, oh, we can make a difference.
Yeah, I can only imagine being a fourth grader again and getting all of this, because it's got to be a lot of fun, because you have projects that have been created to help them understand what water conservation is all about.
Yes, so we have 4 activities at the Water Festival, and the students rotate through them for 30 minutes at each station. And so we do one on the watershed, so we help them understand their place and where they are and what it means to take care of a watershed. And they get to be engineers in that system and start to build that system out. And then we have a groundwater station where they get to fully understand that our groundwater is part of our water cycle and that our groundwater is connected to our surface water, and we can't really protect one without protecting both. And then we have a really fun game station about the water cycle where the students get to be water molecules and move through the Earth's natural water systems and see how water travels.
Oh, wow.
And then our last station is our water conservation technology. And here again, the students get to play a game and then learn about why conservation technology is so important, especially in today, that they can themselves help to make wise choices that can help conserve our resource.
Now, I know these events are going to be going on all over the state. The one coming up here locally that we're going to see is the Marana Water Festival, which is happening on the 29th. That's going to be this coming Thursday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The fourth graders within the Marana School District will be able to get on out there and really have some fun. Now, you get a lot of sponsorship help and volunteers that are a big part of it, and you could still use some volunteers for this.
Yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up. Our sponsors are so vital to our program, as is our volunteers. So a big shout out to our sponsors, the town of Marana, Tucson Water, and actually Carollo Engineers also helps out with that. So we really appreciate that. But yes, we are doing volunteer training today and hoping that we can get enough volunteers. But if anyone is interested, they can reach out to me and I would be more than happy to see how we can utilize them, because we can always use more hands on deck, as they say.
Now, they can use the website awf.projectwet.arizona.edu and then look for the events. You'll be able to find out all the different resources, not only for the parents, the volunteers, but also teachers, the educators themselves that are going to be out there with the kids. Now, I have to ask you, Kristyn, has there been something in this that made you go, oh, wow, I didn't know about that? Or something that kind of opened your eyes a bit when it came to Arizona Project Wet?
I've been extremely impressed with the program overall since I actually only started working with them a year ago. But I have to say the passion and the dedication that all of the employees and the volunteers bring to the program is really amazing. And for me, I don't think I fully understood how important groundwater was to Arizona. And so that connection of understanding that our groundwater is connected to that surface water is so important. And we've actually just released some new groundwater videos as well that are some great, they're about 5 minutes long. And you can find those as well on our webpage. I definitely highly recommend that as well.
Well, very good. And again, I want to thank all of the sponsors who've helped really put this great event together. And if they're listening to this and they're out of the area of Marana, there also is going to be in Flagstaff, the event happening on the 27th. And then on October 6th, North Peoria is going to be having the water festival. Do you know if they do this in other states, or is this something that we've really kind of grabbed onto because we are in Arizona and we do have a water situation?
Yes. So there is a Project Wet Foundation that is nationwide and actually even globally. But Arizona Project Wet is one of the largest and most, dynamic and big programs that there are when it comes to Project Wet, because we have really built this program and we've created our own curriculum that goes with it.
Oh, nice.
So we have a really in-depth and specific program that we offer. And yes, of course it is because, water is life, especially here in the desert. So it's really important that we create water stewards for our future if we want to protect both our environment and our communities.
Another great project from the University of Arizona Cooperative Extension, Arizona Water Festival. And you can get more info, again, that website, awf.projectwet.arizona.edu. Kristyn, congratulations on the upcoming event. And I know it's going to be a lot of fun. These kids are going to just totally enjoy it and hopefully learn a lot to help out our future community.
We are so excited, and we're going to have over 900 students there just in that one day. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
That is great. Well, once again, thank you for coming on Tucson in Review. Is there a Facebook page for this so we can, check out the photos of the event?
Yeah, Arizona Project Wet has a Facebook page, and we will try to post them definitely after the event, if not during.
Excellent.
But I do appreciate the opportunity, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Kristyn. It is pretty cool because if you go to Arizona Project Wet, the website that I gave you earlier, you could see how they've set it up on a football field. They do it in parks, and they have all these booths set up where the kids, and they get to learn as they're going through each station. So just a really great event. This has been Tucson in Review for this week, a public affairs presentation of Cumulus Media Tucson. I'm Andy Taylor. Have yourselves a great Sunday.